All right, everyone, welcome back. So we're getting teed up for our next panel, our sports marketing and partnerships panel. And I have to say that our first panel, again, was a tremendous launch to today's showcase. And so that's just a taste of what you're going to continue to get throughout today and also tomorrow. And so before we kick off our panel, I just wanted to remind you all of a couple of things. Number one, the Sports Industry Showcase online portal. Go there to find great information, career tips on preparing for a career, exploring careers. There are videos from sports industry professionals who are sharing about their careers, but lots of great information. And then secondly, would certainly encourage you to share what you're getting out of this conference across your social channels. And so I did put in the chat about a couple times the link or the hashtag for Sports Industry Showcase. So feel free to use that as you're sharing across your channel. So without further ado, I want to introduce our sports marketing partnerships panelists. And so first of all, I want to introduce Brett McGrew, who's the Director of Global Partnerships for Los Angeles Dodgers. Welcome, Brett. Next, Brittany Ramos, who's the Director of Partnership Strategy for the Los Angeles Rams. Welcome, Brittany. Next, Kay Young, the Vice President of Corporate Partnerships for Los Angeles Sparks. Welcome, Kay. And then we have Kathleen, or Kat Marquez, the Sports Partnerships Manager of Pro Teams for Facebook. Welcome, Kat. Next, Lauren Nickel, the Sales Service Executive for Major League Baseball. Welcome, Lauren. And then finally, Sergio Del Prado, Senior Vice President of Partnerships, San Diego Padres. And so I want to make sure we have everybody here. I do see a couple of the panelists. And so we see Brett here. I see Sergio. Brittany, are you with us?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, cool. And Kay, how about you? I can't see everybody. So is Kay with us? Okay, she may join us. Kat, how about you?
I'm here.
Okay, perfect. And then Lauren, are you with us?
Present.
Okay, great. All right, thank you all for joining us. So I wanted to start off our panel by just asking each of you just to give us a quick intro of your job role, and then one key highlight from your sports career experience. And so let's start with Brett.
Awesome. Well, thanks again for having me. As Director of Global Partnerships for the Dodgers, I'm responsible for negotiating marketing partnerships with new partners and bringing them into our portfolio, while also being responsible for certain renewal and extension negotiations with partners that are already in our existing portfolio. And then the follow-up question, can you remind me on that, Ron?
Sure. Just one quick highlight from your career.
A quick highlight from my career would be that while I was an intern at the Accenture Match Play Championship, it actually snowed during the golf tournament in Tucson, which is probably something I'll never forget.
Cool. Thanks for sharing, Brett. All right. Kat, why don't you jump in, if you don't mind?
Awesome. Thanks again for having us. My name is Kat Marquez. I sit on the Facebook Sports Partnerships team, helping pro teams build their business across Facebook's family of apps and then ultimately drive revenue. Highlight of my time at Facebook is launching the IGTV Playmakers program, in which we partner with young creatives within different collegiate programs and help them build IGTV content for their school's channel. So it might be, a senior at USC producing content for USC football's channels, and it was a great kind of launching point for a lot of these young creatives' careers.
All right, terrific. And it's great having you on the panel, Kat, because you bring a different perspective than the traditional perspective people think of in terms of sports marketing. All right, next, let's have Lauren jump in.
Hi, my name is Lauren Nickel. I'm a sales service executive for Major League Baseball. I sit in our LA office on the West Coast, and our HQ's in New York. But I work across the 8 West Coast teams to build their digital business and manage their digital inventory. And then I work across all of our corporate and national media partners across the West Coast to both sell them incremental opportunities and manage their business.
Okay, great. And Lauren, a quick highlight from your career?
Yeah, I think one of the most memorable ones from an MLB perspective is I was in charge of the Samsung account when instant replay was implemented years ago. And I was the one responsible for making sure that all our umpires were decked out in proper instant replay gear. So there was about a month where I was best friends with the UPS shipping responsible for making sure that instant replay branding was happening.
Cool. Thank you for sharing. And Kat, I'm not sure if I got a quick highlight from you, so I apologize if I didn't. Do you have something you want to just put out there?
You got it. I shared about a program that we had built at Facebook.
Okay, my apologies. It was okay.
No worries.
Focus. Okay. All right. Next up, Brittany Ramos. So, Brittany, a quick intro and a highlight from your career.
Yeah, hi guys. Sorry for the informalness. I'm actually moving today, so I like took a little bit of a break, so apologize here. But yeah, my name is Brittany Ramos. I'm the Director of Partnership Strategy for the Los Angeles Rams, and what that entails is I actually sit between our partnership sales team and partnership activation team, designing kind of all of our strategy and how we implement our partners into our team, into our building, and et cetera, but also supporting our renewals and recaps, managing and creating our inventory, platform development. My team does all of the partnership measurement and valuation for our different assets, and creating new platforms internally. So we're never bored. It's always a fun day, that's for sure. And a quick highlight, I think, definitely in my time in Miami, being a part of the naming rights deal and at Hard Rock Stadium was definitely a moment to be proud of. And as we like to call it, it was a labor of love. So, so nice to meet you guys, and thank you for having me.
Very good. And we appreciate you coming on, especially on moving day too, because we know that can be challenging.
So if I turn my camera off, it's because there's some things probably going on in the background. So apologies.
All right, no worries. And it looks like you're going to be on another panel, I believe, in a couple of days, right? Or so.
I was yesterday. Yes.
Oh,
yes.
Yesterday. Okay.
Yeah. The world naming rights panel. It was very interesting. So it was fun.
Okay. Good deal. All right. And then last but not least, the very distinguished Sergio Del Prado. Sergio, if you could just give us a quick intro and a highlight from your distinguished career. Sergio, I think for some reason I can't hear you. I'm not sure if you have audio issues or not. Yeah, I think, why don't we, Sergio, why don't we circle back? Shoot me a quick link or, raise your hand once you feel. Okay, how's that now? Is that better? Okay, yeah, we still can't hear you. You can always dial in. I believe there's a dial-in number or so. We'll try to take care of you. But yeah, just connect with me when we get that resolved. All right, and I want to do a quick check-in. Is Kay on? I want to make sure I didn't miss her. Okay, all right, so we'll come back to Sergio. But I wanted to ask next, so you've introduced your roles, and so the students have some ideas, a flavor of what you've done. But I want to ask, is there anything that we're missing? Are there other roles within sports marketing and partnerships that we haven't covered? If so, feel free to share some of those so the students can have a broader idea. And anyone can jump in on that one.
Yeah, I think as it relates to corporate partnerships, a lot of teams are structured differently. I think that in the more traditional structure under corporate partnerships, you have your new business team and sales team where Brett falls under, and going out there to, prospect brands and sell to brands and really run the sales process from a partnership level. And then what it goes then into is, your activation team, which is really your account managers and your partnership managers. So once Brett would sell the deal, it would then go into, transition over to our activation team, which what the activation team does is they manage the account on a day-to-day perspective. So really executing the deliverables of the contracts, really being that day-to-day contact for the brand and making sure also they're executing some of the different assets internally, working internally with the different departments. My team is a little bit different. And we, like I said, we sit in between activation and sales. So we're still under the corporate partnerships umbrella, but we're kind of like this agency in between of strategy or business solutions or business intelligence some teams have. So that kind of is on the strategy, analytics, insights, and kind of from the creative perspective, we also do all the proposal development and creative development. So I feel like the strategy department's becoming more and more prevalent in teams. And then also some teams have their own dedicated creative and so forth. So it just depends kind of what the team's needs are as it relates to partnerships and how it's structured.
All right, great. That's terrific. So that gave us a nice snapshot of some other roles. Thank you. So anything else we're missing? Kat, Lauren, or Brad, anything else that feel like we need to touch on?
Yeah, outside of the team or the property side, a ton of brands who serve as sponsors for these properties often use agencies like IMG and Octagon and CAA to actually manage these partnerships. So if you're looking for a way to kind of get your foot in the door and learn kind of, the full service approach to partnerships that doesn't rely on that's separate from the property side, I'd encourage everyone to take a look at some of those agencies. A lot of those roles are listed under account management. So just another kind of angle to approach sports marketing and partnerships.
Thank you, Kat. Appreciate it. Lauren, anything else?
Yeah, and then from an MLB perspective, our integrated marketing team, so our team that works on ideating some programs and help us package materials in order to take out to sell, that all sits within our sponsorship group. And then also our inventory team, the ones who are telling us, how many spots we have left on MLB Network, building out plans, and also, telling us, how many impressions or videos, views are expecting on the site, all sit within our sponsorship team. So there are a lot of entry-level roles that are supporting the overall sponsorship team. So, those type of roles are a great way to get your foot in the door as well.
Okay, great, Lauren. Thank you for sharing that. All right, Brett, I'm not sure if you had anything. There's no pressure, Brett. If there's anything else.
No, the only thing I would reiterate, I think everyone touched on the different sort of angles within this business, but I just want to reiterate that this is one of the really compelling parts of the sports marketing, of the marketing partnerships world within the sports industry, is that there's so many different angles on the team side, on the agency side, on the league side, and so on. And so you're not really stuck in one silo, and there are a lot of opportunities out there.
Great. Thank you, Brett. And so, yeah, the message is, again, there's so much out there. And so there's going to be what you traditionally have heard about in terms of opportunities in sports, and that's great. But you want to be able to dig deeper. And, and opportunities like this conference allows you to meet people who work in different areas of sports, but also who are able to share what's outside of their role, their scope in the sports industry too. All right, so Mr. Del Prado, I see you're back. Want to give another shot? Oh gosh, we still can't hear you. Okay. Jeff, I'm going to just say, and folks, I'm going to say at the top too, technology is wonderful and we have interesting things that happen too. So just please bear with us. We're going to be very flexible and we're going to continue to move on and enjoy ourselves. Sergio.
What's that?
Yeah, that's perfect. Yay.
Got me? Whoa,
yeah, gotcha.
That was weird. We've only been doing this for like 11 months now. I don't know what the issue is. Well, sorry about that. And good morning, everyone.
No worries. So, Sergio, if you can just give us just a quick intro of your job role and then just a highlight from your experience.
Sure. So, as SVP of Corporate Partnerships here with the San Diego Padres, basically I oversee all the revenue on the corporate side, so that sponsorship, media, rights fees, and then oversee a team of 11 people, both on the new biz development and on the service side, and then work on our senior leadership team, and then also kind of oversee our premium sales, which is suites and luxury seating.
Very cool. And a highlight that you want to share?
Gosh, I mean, it's been a long career and it's been a lot of highlights. It's hard to pick one. I think there's a couple. I think way back early in my LA Kings days.
I think we lost you again. I'm not sure if it's a mic or speaker. Yeah, I'm sorry. Okay. Yeah, I wish if anybody has any ideas, feel free to plug them into the chat, and I'm sorry, that's not my forte, so my apologies. All right, so give it a go again, Sergio, and we'll revisit.
Yeah, we're missing out. Sergio has a lot of good stories.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you, Lauren. All right, so let's move on. So next question, and so, oftentimes when we're talking to students, we talk about the importance of hard skills and soft skills. In our first panel, I touched on that. So obviously very important too. But sometimes I don't think we talk enough about character qualities, so your personality traits and how important those are for success in the career. And so just want to ask the panelists next, what character traits, and you can also skills as well, do you think are essential for success in sports marketing and partnerships? And anyone can feel free to jump in on that.
I can start with this one. So on the biz dev side, I think a level of competitiveness is really important in any sales culture. That's going to be a key attribute. And then from a more macro perspective, I think a general curiosity and a desire to sort of understand unique environments, understand why businesses are doing certain things can really be helpful, because the deeper you dig, the better that you understand those concepts, and the better position you are to bring these relationships and these partnerships to life in a meaningful way.
Great. Thank you, Brett. Anybody else want to chime in on that? Traits, skills that are important.
Yeah, I think as on the strategy side, it's, and kind of coming off of what Brett said, but, kind of that curiosity, that innovation, we're both, I would say, operational, but creative. So kind of that balance of skill sets. And then I think just in general in sports is just, it really is a lot to do with, great work ethic. Like this whole panel, like we work very non-traditional hours of the day and night and holidays that we miss and things like that. And we're really dedicated to what we do. And if you're not passionate about this and this industry and just kind of what we all do, it's definitely a lot. And I think having passion is so important because it shows in your work, it shows in just kind of your continued development. So I would definitely say that as well.
Okay, very good. Thank you. And one thing I wanted to encourage the panelists to do before we take our next input is feel free to put information in the chat, so if you have other things you want to contribute. And Sergio, certainly, please feel free to use the chat to put your insights in. I definitely want to hear from you. Hopefully we can look at the audio together, but if not, certainly put some information in the chat because you have so much to share. All right, who else wants to chime in?
Yeah, I was just going to say relationship building is huge. I work closely with Brett and Sergio on the Dodgers and Padres respective business. So, there's a lot of communication and, just making sure that, you're continuing to stay abreast of not, just what's happening, with your team and, what's going on your side of the business, but, having a general curiosity, as Brett said, just for the overall sport and the sports landscape in general.
Great. And I've heard that word curiosity come up at least 3 times. So students take note of that. That's apparently very important. Okay, great. All right, who else wants to chime in on that question?
Adding to everything everyone's already said, I think just training your brain to kind of gravitate to the white space. There are obviously so many different things that come up within an organization that there are always problems to solve. So finding the white space and the areas of opportunity and being solutions oriented, I think is a great kind of skill set to hone in on, especially while you're young in your career.
Very good, very good. Yeah, being solutions oriented, it's definitely premium. Sergio, anything you want to weigh in on that question? Just key traits, key skills for success in sports marketing partnerships?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people have said it. I mean, first and foremost is passion, not only for sport, but for the business. You have to be passionate about it. Like we all could be doing different things and working less hours and making probably more money. But if you're not passionate about it, your career is not going to be long. And then just ability to think outside the box, think on your feet, and be able to, if the last year has taught us nothing, it teaches us that we can plan all we want, but we have to be ready to be flexible and to bend, and also that relationships matter. Like we were able to have a really, really good outcome on our sponsorship and revenue goals last season even with only playing 30 instead of 81 games and playing with 0 fans, just because of the relationships we've had with our partners and their ability to trust us to do the right thing eventually and make things right. So I think passion, be able to adjust on the fly, and then just how important relationships are, not only for your next job and your better job, but just while you're doing your job. And then I guess the last thing is, like, everybody wants to grow their career. Everybody wants to advance. I think you just can't lose sight of the best way to get to the next level or get your next opportunity is to do a great job in the opportunity that you're currently in. And a lot of, things will take care of themselves if you're doing well for your current employer.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Thank you for sharing that, Sergio. All right, let's move on. If there's nothing else for that question, let's move on. And so next I wanted just to really ask you about just some key trends that you see in the sports marketing and partnerships arena. So what's on the horizon? What's happening now? What's on the horizon? And so once again, anyone can jump in and address that.
Yeah, I think content is king when it comes to sports marketing right now. And I actually have the pleasure of working with Kat on some things and campaigns with Facebook. And, kind of content is king. I think the day of just buying a sign is pretty much over. It's all about integrated partnership opportunities. It's all about really storytelling and connection and authenticity, alignment with the brand. And as I mentioned, content really being the driver behind all of that, and utilizing great platforms like Facebook and other different platforms as well to really amplify and tell the story. So kind of the traditional viewpoint of what sponsorship and sports marketing was, and just buying a big sign and in certain places, that's still very valuable to people, especially from a media value broadcast perspective. But more and more brands are going into the digital and social space and getting pretty pretty savvy at it. So we, from a sports marketing perspective, and especially on the partnership side, not only have to stay ahead from an innovation standpoint and integrating different technologies, and again, just how we're telling a narrative digitally and socially, but also how we're, I'll go into my role a little bit, but how we're tracking it, how we're measuring it, how we're showcasing ROI back to the partner. Back in the day, that didn't really matter that much. Today, you get a call every week from your partner on how's this performing. So it's been very different, but I think that's kind of where we're really moving into.
All right, very good, very good. All right, who else wants to weigh in on that? In terms of trends, things to expect in sports marketing partnerships arena.
Adding on to that, I think generally we're in the midst of a big shift towards a creator economy. So like TikTok democratizes the way that people ingest information and learn, but also how creatives produce content. And to Brittany's point, COVID has definitely accelerated the adoption of digital, and more sports properties are seen doing influencer partnerships and things that live within the digital realm, simply because that's where the most eyeballs are. So just keeping an eye on how the digital space is transforming, and also transforming the way that brands show up is key. Okay,
great. So content is king, and also we're in a creator economy. Okay, terrific. All right, who else wants to chime in on some of the trends, some of the things that we're looking at sports marketing?
I'll add to something at a slightly more conceptual level, and it's to piggyback off of something that Brittany mentioned, which is just accountability is so much higher, right? Like there was a time when in the sports marketing space, executive ABC was a fan of the property, and you do a deal and no one really cares how it performs, and that was that. And now we're seeing this environment where sports marketing relationships are evaluated the same way a digital buy would be evaluated, or the same way a media buy would be evaluated. And I think that's good for our environment, because it legitimizes us as a part of the overall marketing landscape. And so to Brittany's point, the folks that sit in the marketing solutions or partnership strategy in that vertical, it's become increasingly more important to showcase that ROI and track these partners at a detailed level.
Okay, very good. So go ahead.
No, just to kind of jump in on what everyone has said already, especially Brett. I miss the days when all you needed to do was get somebody into the locker room and shake hands with the player for their kids, and there was no measurement. But I do think in the long run, it's great for our industry that we are being measured as a real grown-up asset. And because I always felt that sports, we got the short end of the stick. Like, we could deliver a tremendous amount of eyeballs, but we were always looked at separately as media, and the dollars weren't equitable. Now that's kind of changed. So definitely the measurement and how you track measurement and how you give people reports and in what format you give them in and how timely is hugely important. Data, I mean, obviously we're all about data, and how we use that, how we learn about our customers, our fans.
Sergio, I think we lost you again. And I'm sorry. I'm getting grieved because you're saying such good stuff.
What he was trying to say is, I think, are you there, Sergio? Oh, we still can't hear you.
Okay. Well, Brittany, you want to be his interpreter?
It's also from our standpoint on the property side, what's really new or what's really transforming is really us translating the data we're receiving as well, and being able to shape the narrative of when we're talking to these brands. Before, we weren't really as educated on, okay, our fan base and our social channels and fan behavior. And now we're a lot more sophisticated, which I think Sergio is trying to say is exciting for us to, we were always kind of looked at as like, as he mentioned, like there's a fan and we, shake an executive's hand, but now we're kind of equipped to kind of come to the forefront as a really strong media and just brand value that we can collect from the data internally. I don't know if I think that's kind of where Sergio is going.
Well, it sounds good. Yeah, Sergio, and great way to tag team Brittany. So Sergio, did you want to give a shot again, or?
Yeah, I don't know. I think our Wi-Fi is in and out here today. So I don't know I'm in the office. I don't know. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
No. Nope.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Oh, you can?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so weird. Yeah. So definitely, Brittany, thank you. Probably said it way better than I would have. But that, and then just the content and how it's being delivered to our fans, and how our future consumers consume our product. It's a lot different. And we as a property and as a league have to come up with the right ways to get that content to fans, whether it's digitally, however we have to do it. And then just the thing that's obviously important for all of us in this industry going forward is cord cutting, and what's that mean? How are we going to be delivering RSNs? Are they like going to be around in 10 years? Is it going to all be through, the digital means? And how do those right fees get, how do we continue to capture similar right fees through different platforms?
Okay, good stuff. Good stuff. All right, and students, I want to let you know we are going to take at least a couple questions. I'm just trying to get some information in on the front end. So next question, wanted to ask if you all could just share just some resources that students can tap into to learn more about sports marketing. So you're doing a great job of sharing, your roles and just some opportunities are there. But if there's anything else that the students can do just to continue to learn more about your areas, feel free to share. And definitely encourage you all, put some things in the chat. Feel free to use that chat to put in, websites or publications or anything. But anybody want to tackle that first, just in terms of where students can go to get more information, to learn about careers in sports marketing, or just the industry, the function itself?
Well, I think just things like this are amazing. They didn't have these things when I was breaking into the industry. So I mean, doing as many of these types of things as you can is going to be very, very beneficial in the long run. Resources like Front Office Sports, Sports Business Daily, Sports Business Journal. Just keep up on all of that. Read every article you can, even if it's stuff that doesn't interest you, because you'll learn about the industry and sort of trends in the industry and where things are going to go next and who's active. And you'll find out there's a lot of different roles. It's not necessarily at a property. It's not necessarily at a team or an agency. There's so many different ways to get into sports that are meaningful and impactful and fulfilling.
Great. Yeah. And that's actually, I'm sorry, go ahead. Great.
Yeah, definitely those are some top resources, and also just kind of even local opportunities like WISE, which is Women in Sports, and so forth. I know there's other different types of networking type of organizations that encourage mentorship and opportunities to learn more about this side of this industry and getting to know people. And then, checking LinkedIn, Teamwork Online for opportunities. I know, shout out, we're looking to hire a bunch of interns right now, so go to our Teamwork. And again, just a lot of the things Sergio said, just to kind of understand what's going on in the sports partnership landscape.
Very good, Brittany. Thank you for adding. Anything else to add on that question? And once again, folks, if anything comes to mind, feel free to put it in the chat.
I would also recommend just looking at social media. So like on TikTok, type in #sportsbusiness and see what comes up. There's a ton of people who document their day in the life just working in the sports industry. So TikTok's a great way to kind of learn. And I love TikTok University. And then also on Twitter, if you type in #SMSports, which stands for social media sports, you'll be able to get a sense of what the conversation is like as it relates to the digital conversation within the sports landscape. And then the other, brand side of partnerships that probably won't populate on a Teamwork is if you go on most teams' websites, there's usually a page dedicated to all of their brand sponsors. And those will tell you which brands are spending a ton in the sports industry and likely have a sports media function within their brand. So Coca-Cola is a great example. Visa is a great example. But finding which brands kind of resonate with you and then looking at their specific job boards is also a great resource.
Okay, great suggestions, Kat. Thank you. And folks, I'm popping stuff into the chat as well as our panelists are speaking that hopefully you can latch on to. All right. Anything else, panel, in terms of resources for students to learn more about sports marketing?
Yeah, the only thing I would add, I think these suggestions are fantastic, from a networking perspective and from a sports business journalistic perspective. The only thing I would add is that if you take a deeper dive into some of these press releases and some of these articles and really understand partnership narratives, one small insight can be all the difference that you need to differentiate yourself in an interview process. So I would highly recommend that everyone just takes really deep dives into the headlines that they're reading, because again, a small detail could make a world of difference.
Great information. And yeah, when we're encouraging students or talking to students about going to interviews, we encourage them to go above and beyond, So yeah, if you're reading, some of the latest news about some of the issues and trends that are out there, to be able to do that deeper dive so you can share it in the interview. Very good. Or even an informational interview. All right. So we have another question left, but I think I'm going to save that and take some questions from students. So our panelists have put out a lot of great information out there. And so now I'm going to give our students a chance to ask any questions. And I know there were some questions in the chat, so I'm going to go there. But if anybody wants to come off mic and ask you a question audibly, you're more than welcome to do that. Let me take a question that one of our student ambassadors, Layla, put out there. Question. Is graduate school needed to break into sports marketing, or is experience valued at a high level? So is grad school needed to break into sports marketing, or is it really about experience?
Yeah, I think one of the best pieces of advice I got early on in my career, when people were coming in at an entry level and then going straight into trying to get their master's and so forth, is really leverage that master's opportunity for the right opportunity, in a sense of just don't get it to get it with purpose, because in this industry it is all about connections, relationships, who obviously performing at a high level is extremely important. I would say that is a little bit more valued than if you don't have any experience and show up with a master's degree. that's awesome that you did it and it's an incredible accomplishment, but if it's not going to really attribute to the role and you don't have necessarily the skill sets that align with the role, I'm not going to hire somebody just because they have a master's degree. So I think it's really about leveraging it for the right opportunity, especially if you're looking to go into higher level management, and also or if it's just the right time in your career to do that, and to do it with purpose. So that's what I would recommend. And I think internships are extremely valuable. Getting that experience early on is so valuable, because this industry isn't necessarily taught in school exactly as it is. There is a lot of, things that you learn, and that's amazing, but getting that hands-on experience is incredibly valuable for us from a hiring perspective.
Yeah, I think it depends a little bit on the role you want to go into and what your expectations are coming out of it. I just got, over the last 3 months, done interviewing and hiring our VP of marketing and an assistant general counsel. So obviously for the general counsel, graduate schools, obviously law schools, all of that really, really did matter, as well as experience. For the marketing role, it was more based on experience than anything else, but grad school obviously helps a lot. So I think if you can do it while you're working, it's hard to go to, to get I've got a couple people that are on my staff right now that are going to get their master's while they're employed as service people. And it's like, I'd really admire that. It's tough to do with the hours that we have to put in and to do a good job and stay on top of your classes. So I just think that shows kind of a work ethic and an ability to be, manage your time and so forth. That's really admirable, and I think will carry.
Yeah, thank you, Sergio. Appreciate it. And certainly, if there's anything you want to pop in the chat, feel free to do so. All right, let's take another question. So someone had asked earlier, I'm interested in, and this was Christopher Correa. I'm interested in how each of you got your starts in the industry and how were your first couple of days, months. I know when I first started my internship, it was a very daunting task. So we have somebody who wants to give a quick testimonial on how their start was in the industry.
Yeah, sure. I can take that one. When I was still in school at the University of Arizona, I was an intern for the PGA Tour, and it turned out to be a very valuable experience because it was a pretty small operation running a fairly large tournament, and so I was able to get some meaningful experience on the sales and marketing side, on the event operations side, and several different aspects of the sports business, and that was really eye-opening to me. And so I think just getting into opportunities and understanding that it may not be the perfect opportunity, right? But as long as you're getting your hands dirty, as long as you're starting to sort of formulate who you are as a professional, obviously it's cliche to just suggest that you get as much experience as possible, but trying new things, I think is something that you're uniquely positioned to do when you're in that stage of your career. So I would highly recommend that students just try different opportunities from an internship perspective.
Great, Brad. Thank you for sharing that. All right, so next question, and this is from Javier Santillan. Is the media growth in the digital space going forward a good thing or a bad thing? So is the media growth in the digital space going forward a good thing or a bad thing? And how is the sports media trying to stay above the digital trends and connecting for new audience and expanding new content? So if you guys got that, somebody wants to tackle that, feel free to chime in.
Yeah,
I'm happy. Oh, go ahead, Kat.
I think just sitting on the platform side, maybe I'm biased, but I think it's a fantastic thing. I think in terms of the revenue opportunity that exists for teams, that means so much more inventory that they're able to sponsor, so many more rich data points that teams are able to include and sponsor recaps and renewals and things like that. But just generally from a fan engagement standpoint, you're able to track certain fan behaviors. So through retargeting and through the ability to track fan behavior on social media as a whole, it gives teams so much more rich data into how their fans are behaving and how they're able to adapt their strategy around some of those behaviors, which they obviously weren't afforded before. I think generally the sports industry has been reluctant to adopt digital. So I think just compared to other industries, they're a little bit behind, but I think COVID has definitely helped that widespread adoption. And I'm excited to see what other properties invest in as it relates to digital.
Great, Kat. Thank you.
Yeah, and then I'll just say from the league side, I think that digital affords us a lot of opportunity to reach fans wherever they're consuming baseball. From our perspective, digital is just another tool in the tool belt as to, fans, who, watch, baseball a little bit more traditionally versus fans who are outside of their local RSN market and, watch their team via MLB.tv or, are just trying to catch a score and use our new Google Stories integration to watch live highlight clips. So there really is a lot of opportunity within digital, not just to have, a one size fits all option, but just trying to find different ways to, capture fans where they're, getting their baseball information and watching baseball as a whole.
Very good. Very good. All right. So thank you, Lauren. So we're going to wrap up with one final question. And so just want to ask our panelists if you have any words of advice or inspiration you can offer students in just pursuing a sports career. So I'm used to asking, if you have advice to share, but I wanted just to toss in the inspiration because it's been a challenging time for everybody, but I know students have been feeling it too. So if you have any pieces of advice or just anything you feel is a nice pick-me-up for our students, I would appreciate you sharing that. So I'm open the floor to anybody who wants to share.
Yeah, I can take a stab at this one. I'm a big proponent of LinkedIn. I've had dozens and dozens of students and young professionals reach out to me on LinkedIn. And as long as they're intentional and thoughtful about their request, I would say, 99% of the time, I'm happy to take a call or trade some notes or trade an email or something along those lines. So one, I would definitely tap into LinkedIn and to that end, just really be intentional about your ask. So if you're asking for 15 minutes of someone's time, or if you're asking for an answer to a question, just be very specific about that piece. And then a more sort of macro piece of advice is just to improve every single day. If you're learning more, if you're doing more, sort of like from a hands-on experience perspective, if you're improving every single day, it's just really hard to fail over the long run. And so I would highly recommend that.
Great, thank you, Brett. Any other words of wisdom or inspiration for our students as they're thinking about a career in sports?
Yeah, I think, obviously with COVID, it was tough. Our industry was hit really hard in regards to just, hiring people and so forth. I would say, luckily, I feel like there's a light at the end of the tunnel and we're starting to have more opportunities to hire interns and things like that. So keep being persistent, keep, networking, to Brett's point, connecting with people on LinkedIn and doing it with purpose, because I totally agree with Brett. I think like when there's genuine interest in connecting and wanting, again, we're here to help. We've been in your shoes before. But, just continue to be persistent and continue to, look at the different opportunities around you and not necessarily let this past year kind of feel like there's no opportunities ahead. I think that luckily we're seeing a light at the end of the tunnel, and we're excited, knock on wood, for all of us up here to hopefully have fans in stadiums soon. And that means a lot more opportunities for everybody on a career standpoint as well.
And I would also add, don't be discouraged if your first role right off the bat isn't in sponsorship, knowing you want to, get into sponsorship one day. I've seen a number of people go from, starting in different departments within either the clubs or the league, or whether it's ticketing, marketing, field support, all of those different aspects, and transition to a sponsorship role. Getting your foot in the door is an accomplishment in and of itself. So just don't discount, not getting, the exact position you want. Just use everything as a building block to get to that next role.
Terrific. Thank you, Lauren. All right. Anything else before we wrap up? All right. Well, you were an incredible panel, as I imagine you would be. And I was so excited when I was lining up this particular panel as well. So I want to thank Brett, Brittany, Kat, Lauren, and Sergio for your time with our students and just the great information you shared. And certainly, if any of you are open to students reaching out to you, feel free to put your LinkedIn into the chat. But thank you again.